So, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. They had to screw up the trilogy, didn't they? They had to, How to Train Your Dragon, then How to Train Your Dragon 2, and now How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Such like a, forgettable sequel title. But whatever, we'll push that aside. So anyway, this is meant to be, man, like it's been so long since like the first How to Train Your Dragon movie. They've been going, I mean, there's been like huge gaps in the years between them, but they've been going on for quite some time. So naturally, they try to make this as kind of like the trilogy closer, more or less. More or less, they want to bring like this kind of story to a close here, which I can kind of dig. Which essentially it's gonna mean that you're gonna have to like let go of these characters. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to bid farewell and give a goodbye to to Toothless the dragon and Hiccup and all the people of Berk and the different types of dragons. All that, you got to say goodbye to it. But you're not gonna get a very like easy goodbye here. You're gonna get a very rushed goodbye because this film has so much going on in it. There are so many different arcs going on, that the somber goodbye that they're shooting for here doesn't quite land the way that I think they want it to. It feels like it's weird because it feels like there's too much and that there's too little. Like there's too much going on in the story, and there's very little going on with the heavier weight here. All right, so let's see if you can follow this here. Okay, so we're introduced to Berk again. Berk, as you might remember, the Viking village after the second film, they started taking in dragons from this dragon hideout collective, and they've basically been housing pretty much every dragon they've found that's either been wandering around or that's been trapped. There's still like dragon trappers. There's still like men about the seas, just like trapping dragons. And Hiccup, played once again by Jay Burchell, is basically just becoming like the leader of Berk and leading charges off to stop dragon trappers. But he realized he can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this because the dragons are just invading Berk. There's too many. I don't know how they can support them. It never really comes up that they don't have enough food. I guess they have enough food for this type of stuff. But I can't think of like a better way to describe the film than just that first opening scene of Berk just overcrowded with dragons. There's too many dragons about. They're occupying too much of the territory. They're crowding out, every square inch of this island. And that's the way this film feels. Because in addition to housing the dragons being an issue, there's also the issue of what they're going to do about the future. Hiccup still loves Astrid, voiced by America Ferrera, who he's been in love with since the first film, and pretty much they pretty much just say like, dude, when are you gonna get married? Like, it seems like the next logical step here, and you're gonna sense this a lot throughout the film. You're gonna sense like, okay, this is the next logical step. There's too many returning characters here that we have to find stuff to do. You have like the collective that Hiccup trained with you, so you have like Snotlout, voiced by Jonah Hill. He desperately wants to prove himself to Hiccup's mom. It's weird. Like Hiccup's mom apparently is being courted by both Snoutlout and Arid. Was it Arid, son of Arid? You might remember he was the kooky villain from the last film who turned into a hero. He's not given much to do here, but like I said, it's because everything else is crowded out here. Because you're trying to find stuff for the other characters to do. In addition, you have a new villain called Grimmel, who's basically he basically just likes killing dragons. There's not a whole lot to his character. He's voiced by F. Murray Abraham, and he just delights in killing dragons, and he wants to kill a Night Fury so bad, just because, I don't know, it's like his thing, I guess. So he ends up kind of like, like duping some army into paying him to go after this dragon, to go after Berk. I gotta say, not that impressive a character, because there's really not much to him. And like I said, there's so much going on here that we don't have time for that. Because then we also got to introduce Toothless's female equivalent, who he falls in love with. So you got to have a scene where he finds like, oh, there's a white Night Fury, and he feels like, oh, I'm not alone anymore, and he's got to do like this desperate mating dance, which you've seen in the trailers, which goes on way too long. It's like, it's cute for like the first like 2 or 3 minutes of it, where he's bouncing around, he's making goofy sounds and doing ridiculous kind of like slapstick stuff, kind of like a cat. It's cute for a little bit, but man, does it go on too long. You also have You also have another hidden world of dragons that apparently exists at the edge of the world, where supposedly this female Night Fury came from. And I know what you're thinking. Like, wait a minute, wasn't this in the last film too? Wasn't there another collective of dragons from the last film in a secret lair? And you're right. And you're actually going to be seeing a lot of familiar elements from the second film as well, including scenes. Like, there's another scene where he's basically mapping out the entire area and having a little talk with Astrid while their dragons kind of cavort in the background. That scene that happened in the second film, it happens here again, too. And it doesn't feel like it carries the same weight of it. It really doesn't. Because like I said, there's so much else going on. Because they realize that Burke's not safe, so then they got to move all of Burke off to another island. And then they gotta move Burke away. They gotta figure out what to do with the dragons. Then we gotta figure out other stuff for the characters to do. And then we also get flashbacks of Stoic, just so that we can have Gerard Butler in the film again, even though Stoic's flashbacks really don't pertain that much to everything that's going on here. There's way too much. There's too much going on in this film that by the time we end up getting to the big action sequences and when we have to get up to the big kind of like realization that we got to say goodbye to these characters, it doesn't hit. Like don't get me wrong, the film still looks great. I love the look of this world. I love how with each iteration we kind of add a little bit more to it. Like I love like the evolution of Hiccup's armor. Like you might remember Hiccup, he kind of had, you know, kind of like the sleek black outfit in like the last film where he's got like the dragon wings and stuff like that. He's got the same thing here, except now he's got like, you know, dragon skin armor. And he's got this really cool like dragon mask and stuff like that. He's still got the flaming sword. There's a lot of cool fight sequences in there with dragons soaring up in the air, going all over the place. And I gotta admit, for how, you know, similar the hidden dragon world is to like the second film, it's actually pretty beautiful. It's kind of neat. And I the problem is, like I said, and I hate to keep repeating this point, but because there are way too many characters, which they could have done to at least shun a few, maybe push them to the back, because not all of them have stuff to do here. We lose a lot of that emotional impact. Like what I love so much about the first film was the mystique of it, the mystery. Like we're trying to figure out what's going on with the dragons, what's going on with Toothless. The second film, I love the mystique of Hiccup's mom. Like when we first see her like masked in the clouds, and there's this very there's this great music going over it, and she's kind of like mysterious off in the clouds there, and then we kind of slowly learn about her. I love that. There's no time for that in this film. There's not even a time for a really cool flying sequence and stuff like that, because we're so busy trying to cover all these different points, where honestly it kind of feels like a TV series, the way everything is just kind of like smushed together here in under 2 hours to try to finish up all these stories and plot lines. And I don't want to make it sound like the film is terrible, because because I really used to like the characters. There's a really hilarious sequence with what's her name, Roughnut, voiced by Kristen Wiig, who basically just annoys the villain to the point of like encourage, like the villain's got a plan here, but he's just like, I can't stand this girl. I can't take her prisoner. Just let her go. There's a few cute sequences with them. I do like some of the humor here. I think some of it's a little forced because there's not a lot of time for it to develop. And again, like I do like kind of the evolution of these characters, but it feels like, I don't know, it kind of feels like they made it out, like they had like a plan, like we were going to do 5 films, but we may not get them. So kind of like smush like 2 or 3 films into this one to try to get it finished up. And you really kind of lose some of that emotion with it, especially. I feel like there's an epilogue here, which I know a lot of people are going to think, oh, it's a cute epilogue, but I think the epilogue almost kind of ruins some of the tenderness of the actual climax here. Also, the other thing too is this attacking armada of ships that want to kidnap the dragons, which Grimmel kind of considers like secondary, like he realizes like they're stupid. I'm just using them for ships, just so I can get around or whatever. I don't think we even learned that much about them. We learned like a tiny bit, like, oh, they've got their own dragon collectives, they got their own ships, but we really don't learn much about them. They're just basically fodder. So that by the time we actually get to the big action scene, it feels obligatory, like a lot of things this film. It feels like obligatory. We got to get to the magical moment. We got to get to the fight on ships. We got to get to the big scene in the air where Toothless, or you know, one of the dragons will dive and make a last minute rescue and stuff like that. which isn't terrible, but man, it's really lacking that emotion to be that trilogy closer that I wanted it to be. I know for a lot of people, it's like it'll be okay, but even someone I was watching this film with, who was a huge How to Train Your Dragon fan, even he was admitting that like I really didn't get that moment, that extra magic that I usually get from the How to Train Your Dragon movies here. And I really feel like the film kind of like missed the boat to be a great trilogy closer. It's not a terrible one. It's beautiful to look at. It's got a unique setting. I love the dragon designs. It's got some cute stuff going for it. I love the development of the characters here. But like I said, it's all got to be compacted in here because they're on a time limit and they got a lot of balls in the air to juggle here. They got stuff with Aerith. They got stuff with Hiccup's mother. They got all these extra characters they've established in the previous films. You got Craig Ferguson, playing Gober. You got Gerard Butler playing Stoic, even though he's not, even though he met his end in the last film. So now we've got to find a way to work him back in flashbacks. They even managed to squeeze David Tennant in here. I just look at the voice cast. They have a lot going here. Yeah, like I said, it's not a bad film. I think it does make for a solid. It does make for an okay trilogy closer. It just feels like, man, it just feels like either you should have spaced it out to another film, or you should have chopped stuff out of here, because there's a lot of stuff here that doesn't really go anywhere. Like there's a few arcs that are introduced and just kind of like peter out just for the sake of jokes. That really kind of hold the film back from that larger emotional content, because we should be feeling something big by the end here, because they have that montage at the end, like, oh, remember the first film when Hiccup first met Toothless and they touched each other and they connected with each other, and then he's got to feel that sense of like saying goodbye and then and embracing the future, which are great themes. I gotta admit, I do like this theme about embracing the future, finding change, trying to settle down, trying to have faith in the people you love. Great themes like that. Great animation too. But it was so lacking in that extra emotional punch that you really need for a film like this. There needed to be something bigger, something grander, because it just kind of felt like more of the same from the second film, except less. And oh, by the way, this is going to be the end, so we got to kind of close it out here. Even though they do set it up where they could continue it within a series or something like that, so what are you going to do? so for How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, 2.5 out of 5 stars.